Ready? All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I am Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com. Oh, no. Okay. Uh, Alina, you have been going to all the conventions. Have Have you had time to watch anything? Yes, that's what I was going to ask you about. If you have started to watch the new season yet. Oh, okay. Because yeah, the new season just dropped. I was like, oh, I want to watch it and I want to talk about it with Alina. So I will. I Yeah. Uh, I will not talk about that then, since I have to wait for you to catch up. Mhm. Oh, 'cause well, tomorrow is a full moon. And for those of you listening who are interested in werewolf movies, in my Discord, we will be watching The Howling 2, um tomorrow evening. And anyone is welcome to join. You just have to message me to get the invite to my Discord. Um, but yeah, uh, last full moon we watched The Howling, um, and I forgot how long it takes for them to get to the weird werewolf sex retreat. When was the last time you watched The Howling? Yeah, yeah, they're good. I don't know if you saw this in the Discord we're in with some friends. Um, but because we've been watching Buffy on Monday nights, one person did find out that Giles used played Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show. And there are videos of him singing Sweet Transvestite. And they were great. Yeah. Um, yes. Yes. And I'm glad that his daughters are leaning into being like evil ladies in acting. Um, his daughter was the villain in the D&D movie. Yeah. And she's also one of the bad guys in Shadow and Bone. Is that what it's called? Does she? It's been a while since I watched it. I just know that the main bad guy is called the Dark One. And, 'cause, you gotta. Oh, well, it is based on a lot of Russian culture, so it makes sense if, her name was Alina, so. What? Um, but yeah, that the problem with that show is the characters that people like most are from the sequel trilogy. So, they're trying to put those characters in the first story, so you get to them faster. So, you frequently cut to those characters dicking around and failing to affect the plot. Like, their subplot what was all, "We're gonna capture the Chosen One," and they absolutely fail to do anything. Yeah, yeah. They're apparently who everyone likes, like, who read the books. And then the big love triangle is, I was talking to someone and they were like, "I don't understand why there's even a contest of, like, what's going on in this love triangle. Like, I'm not invested in it at all." And I'm like, "Well, apparently the love triangle really cranks up next, like, the second book because they, introduce, like, dashing pirate dude, who makes makes eyes at the main character, and then he's like and then he's like a secret prince in hiding and, like, alright, yeah, yeah. So, that's where, a lot of the, uh, shipping is in that series. Yes. No, I can. The snake manga is public, that's out. Other people can go purchase the snake manga. I am editing a manga for Seven Seas. It is about a lady fucking a giant snake. Um, and it it swings between cute and, like, I don't know who this is for, because it's, like, anatomically accurate snake dick is going inside this lady, but then there's, like, her making baby clothes for her half snake baby that she's gonna give birth to. Yeah, um, follow your bliss. Uh yeah, yeah, it's also wild because I said there's, like, making, um, cute outfits for the half snake baby she's about to give birth to, but then there's also stuff like her father was framed for murder and, um she finds it out, like well, the giant snake finds out and then, like, eats the real murderer, and there is, like, a horrific drawing of him, like, being crushed to death inside the snake. Um, it's well, it's kinda like I feel like it's like, I would like to date a monster who is nice to me, but still fucks everybody else up. Um Yeah, that my monster will eat the enemies of my family. Um, yeah, um, I just volunteer for the animal fucker, mangas because at least they're weird. Um, yeah, no, I was like, I was asked by my boss what types of manga I like. I was like, "Well, I prefer supernatural and horror." If we ever get any of that. And I was like, romance, I'm kind of indifferent to. Like, I have enjoyed the ones I have been assigned to edit that are about adults. Um, 'Cause yeah, the teen ones, get caught up in things that I find infuriating. Um, and I was like, and I don't mind isekais as long as no one underage is being sexualized. Um, and my boss replied, "If they're not getting sexualized, they're probably a slave." And I'm like, "No, the trend is that they're both. They're underage slaves." Yep. Oh, was that, Jobless Reincarnate? Because usually they're not a baby. Uh usually they're an overpowered anime protagonist. And yeah, so they're not reincarnated as a baby, they're immediately like a 20-year-old who's going to, be super overpowered. Yeah, they can anime their way through the story. So, like, Jobless Reincarnate, I understand why people don't like it because it is full of creepy, weird shit, but, like, there is occasionally interesting ideas in it, because while he eventually becomes super OP anime protagonist, since he has his adult 40-year-old mind, um, you get, that the only reason why he is actually better at, magic than everyone else is because when he finds out magic is real in the world, as a two-year-old, he's like, "I'm going to spend all my time reading up on magic." So it's two-year-olds learn faster than adults because their brain is developing. So he has that, but he also has an adult's ability to sit down and focus on, a task. Yeah, yeah, so that is explanation for why he ends up overpowered, and when he tries to learn different schools of magic later, he's not a prodigy anymore. He's so it's just the one that he started with. And then the other thing interesting that they do is him fixating on his mom's boobs. It becomes apparent to him that it's the memory of being aroused rather than him actually being aroused, and they do kinda talk about very briefly, like, "Oh, I'm doing this because I was used to being a weird creep, otaku, and so it's like a habit rather than, something I'm actually interested in." Um But he still, acts like a creep. Yeah, he still acts like a creep, and it's still weird. Um, so it's like, I understand if someone's like, "Nope, I'm out. Out, out, out." But that's at least there's more to it than boobies for the sake of boobies. Mhm. Good, good. That's good, I approve of that. Good, 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 good. Um, trying to think. I mean, if the Catholic Church is good at one thing besides genocide, it's, aesthetics. Um, trying to think of other animes that I watched or recently or have been editing. So, there is a manga I'm editing called He Who Doesn't Believe in Fate, and it's about a guy who can see the red string of fate. Um, and you're destined to end up with this person. Um, but he has a crush on someone who his red string is not attached to. So he is, like, specifically ignoring his red string, um, so that way he can basically date his drinking buddy. Um, and that's been cute. Because it is kinda like getting into destiny versus free will, which, that's not a philosophical thing I was expecting from a romance manga. Um, then, obviously my favorite is still Fantasy Knockout. Everyone should go watch that anime/read slash read that manga. It's the good shit. Later on in the manga, there is a girl who was isekai'd and turned into a boy, and she's basically playing up being the anime pretty boy archetype, to the best of her ability. Um, and she's great, I love her. She's like a theater kid lesbian. Her wish when she got isekai'd was, um, to be able to seduce all the ladies. So she became a hot anime boy. So she's great. She's maybe my favorite. There's a cute, like, romance between her and, another character, um, who had a chronic illness and basically asked to not be, chronically ill and in a wheelchair all the time, so she can run fast. Uh, I haven't because I heard not great things about it. Um, um, cool. Yeah, I think I knew that. I always fly Alaska whenever possible. Cool. My it's what's the Dewey meme? I expected nothing and I was still disappointed. There we go. Um, he was also, editing this manga that is oh, this one is like I feel like all the good isekais don't get caught up in harem shit, they get caught up in weird world building shit. Um, so, like, an isekai I really liked was, How an Ordinary Hero Saved the Kingdom. Um, and what it is it's like the fantasy world does their thing that summons a hero. Um, and it's the summoning, like, thing is to just get, like, a hero to save the kingdom however the kingdom needs. Uh, like, whatever the kingdom needs, that's, what they're gonna shoot for. So what happens is, turns out this kingdom's in a lot of, like, debt and, like, their infrastructure, like, their economy is collapsing and their infrastructure is in the shitter. Um, so the guy that they end up summoning by accident, um, they're expecting, a traditional hero, yeah, to beat up some demons, but it's like, "No, your people are starving because you put all your money on crash cash crops, and then the economy tanked because of supply and demand because you flooded the market, and now you can't even buy food from other countries from selling your cash crop." So here's like a government, like, bureaucrat, um, office worker type guy who understands, like, economic forces, um and he's like, "Well, first thing you gotta do is you gotta build some roads." Um, yeah, and then he, um, puts out, like, a public announcement that is basically, "Hey, if you have an interesting skill, um, come to the capital and explain it to me, because 'cause we're in crisis and, like, you never know, like, what will actually help and what won't." And one of the guys that shows up is, like, his hobby is cooking weird food to find out how to make it edible, or weird things to find out how to make it edible. Um, so, like, a lot of it is, like, whatever this fantasy world's equivalent of taro plants are, where you have to cook them to make them edible. Um Yeah, so, like, he's figured that out, and then he's also, like, figured out how to make bugs edible. Um, yeah, but, like, prepare them in a way that's tasty. Yeah, so he's got the cricket recipes. Yeah, so yeah, so it's like he makes, like, a public service announcement to be like, "Okay, we're gonna have a cooking show with this guy." Because, the city's starving, like, the country's starving, like, and until we fix our crop rotation, and whatnot, we gotta yeah, we gotta, take some from this dude. he does end up with a harem, but, um, it's like an actual, like, polyamorous relationship thing, not weird, Tenchi Muyo dating dramas, um, for this bland guy because so what it is he has, he to give him actual political power, they immediately engage him to the princess. And he is like, "I don't know about that." And he's like, what if there's someone that, like, you actually care about, like, but we're stuck in this political marriage?" And she's like, "I'll just get a second husband." And he's like, "What?" And she then explains to him, like, "Yeah, no, polyamory is the norm here. Um, uh you get as many husbands as you want. That's why our royal family actually goes down matrilineally because, um, the could be anyone's kid, and, he's like, "Oh, so" he's like, "Okay, well, then in your mind, how many husbands is too many husbands? Or how many wives is too many wives for your husband to have?" Um, and so there's 8 days in their week, and she's like, "I think 8." And he's like, "What?" And he goes, "'Cause," she's like, "'Cause then, we could rotate, and I'd like to at least see him once a week." Um, More than 8, that's too many. And then he proceeds to get other ladies that are interested in him, but they're all coming from the, like, as long as you don't go over 8, you're fine. Yeah. But yeah, so I liked that one. And then one that I'm editing is called The Demon King's Housekeeper, and that is cleaning instructions disguised as an isekai. It's a weird neat freak. Yeah, a weird neat freak is isekai'd into a world that's cursed so their cleaning magic doesn't work. But since they've always relied on magic to clean shit, no one knows how to clean shit. So she's like, "Here's how you remove grease stains with baking soda from your pots and pans," like, stuff like that. Yeah, no, and there's little, like, in recipe pages, like, the one complaint I have about it is since it's a manga, like, the recipe for the cleaning thing that she's making, um, it will be, like, in the middle of the manga, so it would be awkward to, like, hold it open while, while trying to make whatever cleaning detergent, she made at home. Good, good. But, like, this book it is very clearly designed to teach you how to make, like, homemade laundry detergent. Uh, it's cute as shit. Um, and the sexy demon lord is a fucking hoarder. So she's cleaning his house. Beep, beep, beep. What's it called? Oh, that's by the Iron Widow lady. Good. Fun. I sent you a page of the Demon King's housekeeper. Yeah. So there's a couple of yeah, yeah. She was going to the library to get more cleaning books. Um, and then she was isekai'd. Yeah. Um, I've been re-listening to October Day books because the new one comes out next week. Um, comes comes out next Tuesday. And then another one comes out in October. It's because so they're books that Shonen says are meant to be read together because since usually the October Day books are all Toby's POV, there's some stuff that like needs to happen outside of Toby's POV. So, the one that comes out in October is Tybalt's POV and is gonna be like Tybalt doing the other half of the plot. Um, but, 'cause have you read the whole series or okay, so I will not tell you why we need to do this POV split. Um, so so if yeah, um, so if you're 3 books in, that means you're on the Blind Michael stuff, or that was the last one you read? Um, it's some good shit. Uh, uh, let's see. The next one is a lot of shenanigans. Shonen has done a great job of taking characters that start out as villains and then are now sympathetic and are on the path of redemption. 'Cause, Russell, um, is cuckoo bananas. Um, and she's gotten better. She's no longer cuckoo bananas and is now sympathetic. And it's kind of like well-meaning people can't help you get past your trauma sometimes and do more hurt than help. Do you read them or do you audiobook them? Okay, so I can't ask your opinion of the audiobook reader's Canadian accent for Quentin. It's he doesn't have it usually, there's just times when he slips up and, it comes out. Um, yeah. Um, you'll say you'll say "sorry," in a boot. You know what? It's not in America, it's in fictional nonsense world, so that random character can say "sorry" the Canadian way. Yeah. Um, I was I was reading some opinions on Buffy stuff, and mostly people criticizing the bad accents in Buffy. And one person said, though I give James Marsters a lot of credit because he not only did a successful British accent, but he also successfully did a British person doing a bad American accent for like 3 sentences. Because there's the part where Spike is pretending to be a friend of Xander's, and he completely fucks it up. I feel like that, yeah. The Dresden Files. Yeah, I that is also what got me into the Dresden Files. Yeah. What I think is really fun, um, have you read or listened to the Rivers of London series? Okay. So the author of that found out his audiobook reader is really good at accents and then decided to fuck with him and put in not only a shit ton of different accents, but also really obscure accents to see if he could trip up the audiobook reader. So far, he's done a great job. Um, mhm. Uh, the guy who plays Nandor on What We Do in Shadows, there was that episode where everyone disguised themselves as Nandor with the magic cape. That is him doing an impression of everyone in the cast. Um, and I'm kind of like I want to find audiobooks that he's read. Uh, the October Day audiobook reader is Mary Robinette Kowald. Um, she does a good job. She says miracle weird. Um, that was the one thing. It's only because 'cause I've listened to these books so many times that I could like, "Oh, that's kinda weird." Oh, she always says it like that, like, um yeah, so it's not vulva? You know, you gotta buy your vulva. Um, uh, Jim Butcher's kid put out a book, and I'm morbidly curious. Um, yeah, I'm like I read the summary and I was like, "This sounds like it might be too pro cop for me." But I am just, like, absolutely morbidly curious, like, um, people have asked Jim Butcher if his kid writes like him, and Jim Butcher said that his son actually was more influenced like Brandon Sanderson, and I'm like, "I feel like that means this book's gonna be a disaster." And maybe it's a car wreck I wanna watch, what are they called? No, I have not read these. Is it Rome as in ancient Rome or Rome today? Okay. It makes sense that werewolves would be in ancient Rome. The Romans did like wolves. And also like King Lycos gets a lot of credit as the first werewolf, even though he just got turned into a wolf and didn't go back and forth. I mean, a giant wolf that ate all his children, but a wolf. Then yeah, I'm reading this anyway. Did you read Blood and Chocolate? It was like a YA that came out when I was a teen. I forget how much older than you are. But yeah, so I feel like it was then made into a bad movie, um but yeah, it was like interesting, but also has some weird accidental anti-race mixing subtext. Um, 'Cause plot is that the plot is that, like, the main girl is, um a werewolf. She is a teen wolf. Um, and the alpha of the pack has recently died, so there's been like competition to have a new alpha. Um, and this guy that she thinks is a jerk won. Um, and her mom is like, the new alpha's hot. I'm gonna try to win the contest to be the alpha female so I can fuck him. And then yeah, and then uh during the contest, her while all this is going on and she's like, Jesus, I don't want to hear about my mom wanting to fuck this guy. Um, there while this is going on, she runs into like loner outcast boy who really likes wolves and fantasy, and he thinks that she's really interesting, and he's drawn to her and doesn't know why. And they're like doing fellow outcast bonding in school, and she's like, "Oh, he really loves fantasy stuff. So maybe I can tell him that I'm a werewolf." Um and it will be okay, and he'll like accept me, and I can like get away from all this weird pack politics shit, and run away with this um goth boy does goth boy does not take it well. um then and he freaks out. And then other werewolf teens, then are like, "We're gonna scare him," so that just makes it even worse. Um, Meanwhile, contests to figure out who the new alpha female is gonna be, um, her mom almost gets killed, so she jumps into the contest to save her mom and accidentally wins because she saved her mom. Like, she defeated the other competitor to save her mom. So then the alpha guy is like, "So we should hook up." And she's like, "No, you're a jerk and I hate you." Runs off into the night. And then like Goth Boy almost shoots her cuz he just can't understand cuz he's a human and humans will never understand. Um and then she feels really bad, and then it turns out that the alpha guy that she had dismissed as a jerk because he looks like a biker guy, he turns out to be really, really nice. And she like gets stuck halfway through um uh transformation, and he like is the one that talks her through changing back. Um and So they end up together, but there is kind of a message of like, yeah, everyone's better off if they stay with their own kind. Um, weird sept like I did think it's unintentional, but it is also there. Um, and so at least they didn't do that. At least they didn't do that, but it was more like it came off as more like this cultural it was like, you can't date people from other cultures, you'll always like they'll never understand your culture. Like, it doesn't say one is better, it's very much like you gotta stay separate, and it's like, that's don't like that. And the movie throws all that out. And puts in a weird chosen one plot that, like, doesn't make sense. Um, yeah, she's like the chosen one who's gonna something something make werewolves better or more powerful or whatever. Um, and it's doesn't really explain how because obviously that's a thing they made up for the movie because they decided that a YA thing needs the chosen one narrative. Yeah, I'm working on video game art. Um, yeah, I feel like I never got into any ongoing werewolf series because they all had some weird shit like that going on in them. Like, did you ever read Patricia Briggs's books? The main character is a were-coyote, and they use her as a messenger because of weird territorial stuff with werewolves. Um, and yeah, since she's a coyote, she's not a threat. But it then has stuff in it that's like all werewolves are innately homophobic. So the one gay werewolf is like an outcast and is forced to be a lone wolf even though he doesn't want to be. And then like yeah, yeah. I did really like How to Seduce a Naked Werewolf. Because it is as funny as the title. Yeah, that it lives up to the title. Um, it is the lady in it uh was she keeps calling the werewolf's dick his Mighty Morphin Power Penis. And that is the vibe of this book. And what's fun is the sequels are very clearly like she leaned into some problematic shit that's in a lot of werewolf romance um in the first book, and then the second book and the third book are both her deconstructing those problematic things. Um because the second one is about the main werewolf of the first book's sister, and she falls in love with a dude, and since it's the werewolf's POV as opposed to the person who's going to fuck the werewolf, um all the possessiveness and kind of following and stalking stuff that isn't on a lot of werewolf romance, she finds herself accidentally doing it and trying to stop. She's like, this is not good, I should not do this. Like um um yeah, I need to stop being a creeper, um, and not do this. Uh, yeah, and then the third book is a lady who was fleeing an abusive relationship, gets in a relationship with a werewolf. So all the werewolf shit is triggering her. Yeah, yeah, so It's them negotiating his instincts versus her trauma, uh, and is still funny. It still manages to be funny. It also goes into, like, okay, alpha wolves aren't a real thing with regular wolves, but that is a thing for werewolves because, um, humans have egos, and that prevents them from working as a unit the way wolves would. Um, so the alpha wolf, like, power instinct or whatever is to make sure that the werewolves can act as a unit the way regular wolves were without human egos getting in the way. Yeah. Yeah. The lady writes a bunch of silly vampire books too. But those were I I don't wanna say not as good because they were funny, they just didn't do, like, the digging into the premise as much. Like, no. Tell me about it. Cause they are. Yeah. Good. That mhm. That just makes me think of, Kate Ashwin doing Widdershins. Um, Toward the end, introduced a trans lady, and everyone is very supportive of said trans lady. There isn't, like, any Victorian era type of discrimination going on. Um, and someone, like, wrote a fucking essay about how it's not realistic for no one to be shitty about trans people and, like, historical accuracy, blah, 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 and Kate replied with, "There are wizards. There are wizards." I remember talking to Corey about vampires, and Corey said something along the lines of, "I don't believe in straight vampires." And I was like, I replied with, "I believe in the possibility of straight vampires, but in a, like, I tried it and it's not for me sense, not in a, like, strictly hetero, sense." Um, 'Cause, you're that old, you're gonna try some shit. No, I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just the inherent eroticism of hissing at someone. Um, I recently watched Zoolander, and what's very funny is the guy who plays Eric Northman is in Zoolander, is one of the people who died in the horrible gasoline fight. Good. One of the best jokes in Zoolander was ad-libbed or was the response to, Ben Stiller forgetting his lines. It's could they there's the part where they talk to David Duchovny's character, and he explains the plot, um, and before the big exposition dump, Derek says, "But why male models?" And then there's the big expedition dump, and then Ben Stiller apparently forgot his line, so then he just repeated, "But why male models?" And David Duchovny went, "Are you fucking serious? I just explained it." Like, and I think, like, kudos to David Duchovny for not breaking character and going with it. Um, when, in Discord, when we were watching the Buffy movie, we were talking about how Joss Whedon hates it because he didn't like that the actors were ad-libbing stuff. Um, and I am not surprised that he is precious about his dialogue. But also, some of the funniest shit in television history is because of ad-libbing. Like, the Parks and Rec joke where I put your symptoms into Google and I think you have network connectivity error. Is that was ad-libbed, and it's like you're missing opportunities like that. Um, yeah, like, um, you just, you gotta sometimes let actors have some freedom, like, that's how we got Han Solo saying, "I know," in response to "I love you," mhm. It's good enough. It's also sometimes you don't know a character's vibe until you've seen the actor in the character. Um, so mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. It's like the Spider-Man eyes. Good. It's hard. Oh, I can't wait for you to read more October Day. Um, and then I can gush at you about it. A fun thing about the audiobooks is Mary Robinette reads Tybalt's dialogue as like he's purring, like he rolls his R's in a way that kind of sounds like he's purring. Um, and I'm like, good, 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 good job with the Catman. Have you read Shannon's Encrypted series? That one also does a like everything that people think is like irredeemably evil. It turns out there's some explanation. Like, the closest you get to irredeemably evil is, like, a wild animal that doesn't understand. And there's a book that's about how, werewolves can't be in Australia because they're an invasive species, which that one's obviously my favorite. Yeah. Mine were a little bit down, and I have thoughts and reasons as to why, but I'm not gonna say them online. Um, and yeah, I when I say I was down, I was like 200, not seriously down, not a big deal, but um, mm, yeah. My favorite joke in the D&D movie is ask how many questions they have to ask the dead body. And I love that there's the after credits bit. Here he's still like, "Will someone please ask me a question?" Yeah, I haven't started Zelda because I said I will not do the Zeldas until, I finish writing my graphic novel, and I haven't been able to work on it, all summer, um, so Zeldas will stay there. Um, I am gonna start streaming RimWorld with my buddy Bones, and because of genetic stuff in the game now, um, I have made a starting game or a starting setup for when we start playing that Bones and I have talked about. Sometimes you are drawn to certain dumb genre shit because it speaks to you on a thing on a level that you can't quite put your finger on until like hindsight. Um like one of the things that frustrated both of us in school was getting told, "Don't write about insert genre thing." So, like, it was partly because our professor was just tired of reading about samurais versus ninjas, was tired of reading about werewolves versus vampires, was tired of reading, yeah, like, insert overused trope. Our professor was tired of it. Um, so getting told, "Don't write about werewolves," I'm like, "No, fuck you, I'm going to write about werewolves." Um, and yeah, but, like, I couldn't articulate why I liked werewolves so much. Um, and the answer is because they have conditional humanity. Um, and so that speaks to me on, like, a metaphorical level that, like, you only get accepted into society when you are fitting its norms, blah, blah, blah. Um, yeah, that doesn't fit in the square peg, and, so but then you also have found family through this shared experience of trying to hide a part of yourself. Um, so Bones was talking about how they really liked stories about half angels and half devils. Um, and I said to them, "Do you think, in hindsight, the reason why you were drawn to that is because they are neither of the extremes in a binary situation?" As a non-binary person who didn't realize they were non-binary, do you think in hindsight that is why you were drawn to it? And Bones was like, "Oh, yeah, that may be it." And so, um, in RimWorld, I have made a start called Ineffable Couple, and I have custom made the genetics of one character. They have demon wings, demon horns, red skin, um, but black hair, devil eyes, like they have digigrade legs, they have a demon tail, they can breathe fire. Um, because the way genetics in the game work, I had to give them some downside, so I made them hurt by the sun, um, and I made them really bad at medical, um, and really bad at taking care of plants, and really bad at taking care of animals. Um, and then I made another a partner for this character who has angel wings, healing hands, is incapable of violence, um, can walk on water, and uh, yeah, um, they're going to get dropped on the RimWorld planet, um, and they're a couple. Well, the thing is because the point is Bones likes half angel, half demon, and RimWorld does run on regular childbirth, needs to have both sexes. So I did make one of them male and one of them female. So that way all their children will be half angel, half demon. Um their children might need to be fed um constantly, because basically if you have only good traits, they eat more. Yeah, you have to eat more. Yeah. Um So that's the little start that I've put together. So they have, um and it's gonna be a surprise for Bones, that they will have, uh their, half angel, half demon children. That makes sense. Good, 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 good. The hard part about this video game artwork is, um, everything has to be on a separate layer. Mhm. So this game is about you're a single parent and your child is a werewolf and you have to prep the basement um for your child. Um and the child is a child, so they are um constantly being like, "I'm bored," while you're preparing stuff. Um and So I have to draw this kitchen and draw different like bored child things that will cycle through while you're working. Um and you can make the child stop acting up by giving them a snack. Um and One of the options is to give them a chocolate bar, but that is a trap. Yes. I did also, while talking to the programmer, go like, "So how dark do we wanna go with this, with our quote unquote bad endings?" Well, no, as like that worst ending, kid gets out and gets shot. Because we were talking about uh the there are bad endings for if you successfully keep them in the basement. But like the medium bad ending is kid stays in the basement but fucking wrecks the basement. Um and then There are a couple of bad endings for they get out of the basement. Um so yeah, so we were like one option is like you successfully put traps or things to catch the kid um in the backyard. So they get distracted by those, and while they got out, they did not leave your yard. Um, and then One option is kid gets out and uh kills like the neighbor's chicken. Um, and then we had another thing is that you could set up an alarm to alert you if the kid gets out, so you can go pick them up and try to bring them back to the basement. Um, and so get you can buy thick gloves at the store um if before, and if you bought the thick gloves you can put the gloves on first and then pick the kid up. um and if you don't do that, then one of the other bad endings is uh when you go to pick the kid up they bite you. Yeah. Like 5. We wanted an age where they would not understand why they have to stay in the basement, and doesn't understand why they can't have a chocolate bar. Oh, good. I was looking at, like, the egg came up with a expression that is like, in my head, I know the exact expression I want, um, but, uh, wasn't sure if I find reference for it. Fortunately, the first result for if you Google "kid killing on their face" is exactly the expression I wanted, which I have just sent to you. Yes. Yay. Good. Are you getting a lot of smoke? from wildfires and stuff. Mhm. Oof. Well, I hope your birds are okay. Boop, boop. Have you and Sam heard from Emerald City at all? Okay. So they haven't emailed me in a while. Um, I'll probably bother them. Probably gearing up for New York Comic Con, so they won't probably respond until after. But I would like to get us to do that thing again where we were like across from each other. I doubt that they care or have even thought about it. I thought the temperature at our table was okay, but we were probably nearer to whatever cooling thing they did have. Mhm. Sun baking you all day. Well, yeah, I feel like that's every convention though. Like if you did that at San Diego, it would be that or every convention worth going to. Um I got an email about a new convention in Boston that I'm like, this looks either interesting or like sales will be dead. Um, it's called ComCon. Yeah, and they emailed me trying to encourage me to, purchase the table and all that. But yeah, so it's targeting neurodivergent people who get overstimulated. Um, yeah, yeah. So so I'm like that will either go great or it will be a disaster. I feel like there's no in between. Yeah. I'll maybe check it out next year. Cause they also like it's in October and I'm like, I can't. I gotta plan this shit more in ahead. Yeah. I mean, my family's there, so I at least don't have to pay for a hotel. But yeah. Anyway, we should do that Fallout tour um in Boston. Just just let me know. And I'll go around the same time. If you don't want to pay for a hotel, we can crash at my parents' house. And then just drive around and see weird Fallout shit around Boston. New York smells bad. Yeah, all in New York is like that. 'Cause it's stanky. 'Cause this yeah, yeah. That's neat. Mhm. Huh. All right. I'm good with wrapping up the stream here. Uh all right. Thanks everyone for watching. You good for next week, Alina? Okay. Yeah. You'll let me know. All right. Well, thanks folks for watching. Uh have a good one.